International University of Sarajevo. Amel, can you please tell us more about the role of students, the way you see it in the implementation of collective action initiatives related to the fight against corruption, and how do you see their future engagement? Do you have any vision of how these collective action efforts could be triggered by the younger generation, your students and your colleagues at the Faculty of Administration?
Okay, so first of all, kindest greetings to all the participants, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to contribute to this roundtable event. Now, when we discuss any topic, especially corruption, it needs to be emphasized that universities are an essential part of each society and actually a ground place for any important social activity. So we can discuss about the corruption within university institutions and also trust for educational institutions, but more important is, in my opinion, to discuss about the impact of educational institutions, as Vera previously said, to all institutions and processes in one society or country or region or whatever. And because everything actually starts and it's the ground place for any future procedure, because universities are just forming the future activists and leaders and administrative public servants and businessmen and whatever. And so regarding the educational institutions themselves, corruption can be related to various aspects, just briefly, such as distribution of scholar position, then enrollment of students, passing the exams, etc. But as we already had some comments and experiences from colleagues from different sectors, and if you read any or from the many numerous reports from domestic or international institutions such as Transparency International, and I want to emphasize Ivana's activities regarding this topic for many years. So Bosnia and Herzegovina, according to those reports, is actually affected very seriously by the corruption. However, if we analyze the situation, we can acknowledge that formal institutions exist, such as regular courts, inspectorates. We have Mr. Kafedzic from and his office, and there is also one agency at the state level regarding the prevention of the corruption. And also there is a legal framework. I will just mention, I don't know, law on the Agency of Prevention of the Corruption, law on the protection of the whistleblowers, law on conflict of interest, and many other laws. Or, since I'm speaking from the aspect of the university, most of the universities also have many legal documents, rule books regarding the public procurement, quality assurance, code of ethics, etc. And also various institutions, some of them present today and some of them also active in general in practice in Bosnia and Herzegovina, have adopted the, for instance, program measures for preventing corruption, etc., etc. So we can conclude that legal and strategic acts exist, that institutions exist, but still the problem of the corruption is increasing and not decreasing. And for this purpose, I will just briefly mention a few important impact factors for such situation and try to link them with the educational institutions and to give some recommendations in order to improve the situation. So first, what are the factors that influence this situation? I would say it's a cultural problem. People in general, and the students in particular, perceive corruption, but they do not report it. And in practice, there are more irregularities that are reported by the employees of academic institutions, for instance, rather than students. Or there are some student organizations which report some problems, but very often they have different background as an instrument of social or political vengeance, etc., etc. And people are not familiar with their rights and so on and so on. So this all created this cultural perspective where the corruptive behavior becomes a mainstream behavior. And second, if there is no trust in formal institutions, while their representatives are perceived as corrupted. I will just mention two examples from Bosnia and Herzegovina, not naming anyone, but so president of the leading judiciary institution in Bosnia and Herzegovina is mentioned as part of a corruption affair, and also a member of the national parliament who is sanctioned by the United States government for being involved in public corruption is actually a member of the Bosnian Parliamentary Committee for Selection and Monitoring the Anti-Corruption Agency. So if you have such perspective, then it is normal that people do not have trust in institutions, and it affects the overall problem with the corruption. And the third factor is very low investment. So there is very low investment rate in education in Bosnia and Herzegovina. If we compare the financing of universities, for example, in Bosnia with other European countries, Bosnia and Herzegovina is at the very bottom of the list. You could say at least 10 or 20 times more is invested for science and education in many European countries than in Bosnia and Herzegovina. So you can't expect big research results and initiatives, and in also it opens the possibilities of people from the university to become corrupted because they feel that their work is not supported adequately. And also media and overall public reporting about corruption are rather presenting the problem, and they are not presenting the solutions and positive practices, or it is very rare. And finally, very often acts and procedures are not published adequately regarding the anti-corruption measures, etc. So it's not always the case, but very often most of these reasons are present. And then this all demotivates any anti-corruption activities, especially among students. And so there is a pattern that has been developed that the corruption is actually the only way. And still, or however, there are some activities performed in this sense. We heard about the activities, and all the present speakers here who represent the organizations are actually doing very brave and well-organized activities, but still it is just one small portion if we compare with the existence of the corruption in the society. For example, I'm looking now at Ivana. Transparency International regarding the educational institutions organized, for instance, a school of integrity, and you promoted anti-corruption teams at universities. Also, many universities organize workshops and roundtable discussions, such as the one organized at the University of Sarajevo with the topic fight against corruption in education. And also some faculties, for instance, Faculty of Natural Sciences or Faculty of Political Sciences here in Sarajevo, they have the web platform where you can report the corruption, although the platform is not always functional, but it's some step. And to elaborate something about the institution where I particularly work, so at the Faculty of Administration at the University of Sarajevo, there are some academic courses such as ethics in the public administration, integrity in administration, administrative control, public administration and quality management, and these courses elaborate about this topic of corruption and collective activity and of course all the relevant issues. And also in July this year we organized a webinar regarding so under the topic key guidelines for preventing corruption in public procurement procedures, which is one of the crucial problems. And so overall, although the formal background exists and some practices, I just mentioned a few of them, including at the university and also in government and NGOs and private sector, still, according to all reports, Bosnia and Herzegovina has problem, and as my small contribution to this event, I would just I have listed a few recommendations regarding the topic. So first, to strengthen the network of institutions, and that should be promoted, which should include various stakeholders, someone mentioned today. So not just government institutions, but also businesses, media, NGOs, academia, etc. Also to promote various research projects, publications, professional and academic sessions. Also to promote integrity and anti-corruption, and that should be introduced and strengthened in primary and secondary education, so in elementary and high schools, and also new academic curriculum within the university education, and to promote and to support financially research projects and final theses at the bachelor studies, at the MA studies, PhD studies regarding today's topic. Also, stronger intersectoral cooperation in education should be fostered, and improvement of investment in related institutions, because if there is no financial background, it's hard to promote any of the activities. And I mentioned yesterday during the panel session, we could create a book of knowledge and book of positive practices. So in order to not have some kind of negative approach, we could actually promote all the positive practices, and we could share the knowledge and share the problems and share the solutions, and probably to enable that through some kind of online platform where, and as I mentioned yesterday, we can't expect everything from the government. Government should just be formal support and initiator of some of the activities. For instance, to create such platform of book of knowledge and positive practices, and on the other hand, it should be available for multiple contributors from various sectors, and so we can't just hide and speak during our coffee breaks about the corruption. Everyone should put some incentive to such platforms and such tools. So overall, I was aware of the time limitations, so for the moment I will stop, and I'm very open for any comments, any discussions, and I hope that we will use this platform, this project, and all the activities to connect better and to work further on in order to achieve some results. And I really want to say that although the statistics are very negative, I must promote the positive activities of today's participants, not just in case of today's activity, but in general. I know that all of them are seriously contributing this issue in Bosnia and Herzegovina. So thank you for everything. I will just stop.